Hello and welcome to We Never Met, the podcast where I have interesting strangers on every single week. Today, if you want to introduce yourself live in your studio, or I guess it's live when we're doing it, but in your studio.
Yeah, I'm Jordan Guth. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, and do you want to give everyone just a little bit of background to start, so we just have a jumping off point of like what you do currently in the arts and design sort of field?
Yeah, I guess I kind of just do like a little bit of everything. I think that's kind of my favorite thing about my art is just the freedom within it. I started out, I guess, doing like digital illustrations. That kind of got me started and got my name out there a little bit. I've ventured more into like clothing design now and silk screen printing. I've done murals, as you can see behind me, canvas work. I don't know. I just kind of whatever I'm feeling, I kind of do. And I think, that's my favorite part about it. So,
I mean, that's the best part about art is like there's so many avenues to go down,
Right.
That's really cool. So you were at one point really heavily into sports, and heavily into, I mean, like playing at a professional level in sports and playing at a collegiate level, which many people might not know based on your career path now. And so was that more of the focus for you when you were growing up with sports or was art in there as well?
Yeah, I mean, like sports was so much of my life growing up. I played like 3 or 4 sports all growing up through high school. And then obviously, like you said, I ended up playing college hockey, college baseball, professional baseball. So yeah, I mean, that was like consumed my whole life, training for that stuff. I did, I just always would doodle and draw. And I remember winning like an art contest. We designed like jerseys for this team I was trying out for. And I ended up winning the contest and I won like $500 for the jersey.
Wow.
We all wore the design of my jersey that I did and created. So that was pretty cool. But, looking back, like there's always blips and moments like that. I remember where like my art stood out like that and I did it. And at the time, it was just something fun. And I don't know, I guess I just did it for the fun of it, which I still do that. So I guess now I just take it a little bit more seriously, or I can see the opportunity with my art that like the capability that my art can, for expressing myself and whatnot.
So like being so involved, and I mean, it's pretty amazing that you played collegiate baseball and hockey. I mean, usually you see someone just doing one is pretty amazing to me. So what was like the turning point for you in sports where you sort of, I guess, transitioned and didn't take them or keep taking them in that direction, and you just started sort of pursuing art? What was the reasoning for that? So
in high school, like there was a decision to be made if I wanted to play baseball or hockey after high school, and it's a little bit different path. Baseball ended up being what I decided on because I got school paid for and I went right to school, where hockey, you usually go play juniors, which is a step between high school and college. So I was playing ball and I was just kind of, towards the end of what being the end of my career, I was just kind of dealing with some nagging injuries, and it just kind of felt like the right time. And this opportunity to go back and play hockey, kind of presented itself. And hockey was always like my first love. So like an opportunity to do that kind of made it easier to step away from the game of baseball, And so it kind of felt like it came full circle. And I went like 5 years without playing hockey. So to get back into training, that kind of took my mind off of, baseball ending. It was more so like a drastic change when I was done with just being an athlete in general. At that time I was 25, I think. And it was just like this whole thing that kind of people saw me as, people always saw me as an athlete. I was always a pro baseball player, and then that just being taken away from me was just like a great learning experience, kind of just like how things that you think you have can just be taken away, and at that point it was just like there's so much opportunity, and it was just like, all right, let's just see what I really like to do now and enjoy. And then art just kind of came into my life that way, or came back into my life. And I guess I was just like reflecting, and I just noticed that art had always been in my life and I just didn't really pay attention to it, I guess. Mm-hmm. So it just kind of presented itself and I just kind of took off with it, I guess.
Yeah, because I mean that's a huge transition, especially when you get to the level of like you're so good that you're playing in college. Like that is like presumably, I mean, I don't know your life specifically, but it consumes so much of your life and so much of your effort and so much of your like, this is what I'm going to be doing, to have that all sort of just be gone now and then doing and trying to figure out what to do next. Like, what was that space like for you? It was that, so you went back to school and played hockey at MSOE. Was that sort of what was happening or in your mind at that time?
So when I played baseball in college first time, I went for 3 years and I was drafted. So I left school to go play professional baseball. So I knew that if my baseball career came to an end, I was going to have to go back and finish my degree, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So hockey and going back to school kind of just was a good opportunity because MSOE is a great school. I went and finished my civil engineering degree there. It was just a great opportunity to go to a great school and then go back and play hockey for a couple more years. Because when I had 3 years of baseball in the NCAA, so that left, I think you get 5 years. Yeah, you get 5 years of eligibility in 2 different sports. So I got to play 2 years of hockey. It was just, like I said, it was just like a weird opportunity that, like the coach kind of just heard that I was done with baseball and I was, down in Chicago playing on a team, and somehow it just got through the pipeline. Like I kind of talked with my dad about, hey, maybe like I'll go back and play hockey when I go back to school and stuff. And it all just worked out. I really don't know the whole story. I just ended up getting a call one day from the coach, and I was like, I'm playing baseball right now, but I'll let you know. And then, the injuries kind of started happening, and I don't know, it just kind of felt right. And it got me excited again. It's like, it was a point in my career in baseball. It was like just a sucky part because I was injured. I wasn't able to play. And athletes who've been hurt, they know what it's like to just have to sit on the sideline and not play. And I don't know, it took my mind away from that, I guess. It was just like a cool opportunity that I was able to go do. And, the best thing through sports, I think, is just like the people you meet, and like it opens up your mind a lot because you're dealing with people from, I had roommates from the Caribbean, South Africa, all over the place. So I'm playing hockey. I still talk with a bunch of these guys up here that are on my team. I'm doing a collab with a couple artists that are on the team that's kind of starting their own thing now. So just the relationship you build in like sports, that's the stuff that's really stuck with me. And then obviously the stuff you learn along the way, like the discipline and stuff like that. But definitely the relationships. I think, a lot of stuff is the relationships that really stick out. No,
it's funny that you bring that up because I watched the segment with Aaron Rodgers on the Pat McAfee show. I don't know if you ever have watched that.
No, I haven't seen it. I know who you're talking about. Yeah, the Pat McAfee show.
But that was one of his big things. Aaron Rodgers was always talking about that he would try to like talk to the people, talk to like the rookies and young people about building like relationships, because those are like the most important things that'll last longer.
For sure. Yeah, it's like hindsight. You wish you could go back and tell yourself. And I was always good about it. Like, we had a lot of fun with the guys and stuff, but yeah, definitely hindsight is like, that's the, the biggest thing is like, that's the stuff that you're going to take with you for the rest of your life,
So when you were playing hockey and knowing that you were sort of finishing up your degree, where did you want to go from there? Like, did you want to go out and do like civil engineering, or were you like looking for another path to go down? Since you knew sort of the time that you were going to be playing sports was coming to an end.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know how to explain it. It's like when I play baseball, when you're playing pro baseball, it's not like you have 4 years of eligibility and then you're done, like you're still seeing the future. And yeah, when it came to that point, like it was finally, I knew that my career was coming to an end. I was like, I wasn't going to go play pro hockey or anything. Like it was 2 years and I was going to be done. It almost just felt like it was like kind of just a conclusion, right? Like the end of the movie, it was done. You felt satisfied with it, and I stuck around for a couple more years and I coached baseball at MSOE, which kind of gave me that competitive fix. And then I work in construction management now with my civil engineering degree. So I just got pretty busy with coaching and then doing that. I went to jury duty one day and I brought my iPad with me and I just did like these little, I didn't have like a Apple Pencil at the time. And I just started, like doodling on my iPad, literally with my finger. I didn't think much of it. And then there's like this art show in Milwaukee that does like around the holidays, they do, it's at Art Bar and they get a bunch of artists and then people come in for a whole month and buy the art or whatever. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm just going to apply my stuff and see what happens. And sure enough, like I got 12 designs in, and then I ended up selling enough where they like have invited me back every year now. So when that happened, I was like, all right, I'm just going to like invest a little bit in myself. And I like bought a nice iPad and Apple Pencil and like just started taking it more seriously. And like that first year I would draw every night for like 3 hours, So
was the one you submitted to Art Bar, were those ones with your finger?
Yeah.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, they weren't like looking back on it. I feel like every artist has that moment where they look back, they're like, why were you confident enough to like show people that,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they were cool. They were like, they were different. They're like kind of totally different than my style, what my style evolved to be, but, still kind of the same subject matter. And it was cool stuff, I guess, at the time. And, I've definitely gotten a lot better since then, but it was cool. It was like a kind of a catalyst to what I'm doing now, I guess.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's pretty incredible. I have an iPad and an Apple Pencil, and I still find it hard to draw on that. So can't imagine doing it with my finger. But yeah, no, that's super cool. So because I read that mental health was something that you have really tried to put into the forefront of things that you, I guess, think about on a daily basis and sort of strive for better mental health. Was that something that you felt like you had a pretty good grasp on and you were still developing even when you were playing sports? Or was that something that you, as you got older, that you wanted to focus more on because you felt like it was more of a necessity?
Yeah, like when I was playing sports, I was like so consumed by it, and I was still young. When I was in college, I was 18, and I stopped playing pro sports at 24, 25 or whatever. And, and from my personal experience, like the mental health stuff just started like exposing itself, like kind of at that 25 age. I just, been through a lot of that time, a lot of change in my life. And I just saw how important it was to just take care of myself and like be true to myself, I guess you could say. And then just be like an advocate for it. Cause you see out there how many people deal with it. And it's like, it seems like for so long, people just have to deal with this stuff in the dark, or like there's this, like talk about all the time, the stigma, right? Mm-hmm. It's like guys aren't supposed to talk about it, or, people aren't supposed to talk about it. And just like, I don't know, I almost see more bravery in people speaking up about it and like being vulnerable. And like, that's all I'm really trying to do is like, hey, this is who I am. I'll show you. I'm trying to show you who I am. I hope you find some inspiration in it. Cause I find inspiration in a lot of other people who are, much braver than me and talk about it. And I don't know, I guess I'm just trying to like have some influence or like, speak out for it and do what I can, I guess.
Yeah, no, I had a very similar, or not very similar, but I had an experience with that where when I was growing up, I was diagnosed with OCD and anxiety disorder when I was like 12, and my parents told me not to tell anyone about it. And so automatically that like made me feel like I'm just like this insane kid that's like having all these terrible thoughts and like, so much anxiety, and I have no one to talk about it to. Like and it automatically like makes you feel so much shame and stuff. And it took so long till I was in college to even like talk to anyone about it, because I felt you feel so secluded and so like alienated, when in reality it's not a problem that you yourself just face. And I think as I got older and was able to talk to more people about it, that was like the transformative experience for me, is like hearing that other people have these experiences and I'm not by myself. So I agree. Yeah.
People who go through stuff like that, we all have our own, it feels different, or it shows itself differently to all of us, and that's hard to take on by yourself. And, I've just found like art for myself just slow me down, and it just like, I lose myself in it, it just kind of gets my mind like clear. And I'm someone who's like always got to be doing the next thing. Like it's always like my expectations of myself are so high, and I always have got to be striving for something. It's like something I've just tried to work on, being more in the present. But no, I found similar things, like talking with people about it. And we've got this group that, like, especially during quarantine, we like do these rides, like a couple of us skateboard and rollerblade and bike. And it's just like a real open group. Like we just talk about kind of how we're doing, what we're working on, stuff like that. And I've just found like being around other creative people, or other people who are open-minded and are brave, and like we'll talk about stuff like that. It just makes it a lot easier on the people that are going through stuff and like are in that group.
No, I mean, if I come back to Milwaukee, I want to join that group.
Awesome. I haven't skateboarded since middle school. Like I skateboarded middle school and I gave it up for other sports so I wouldn't get injured. So I like relearned to skateboard during quarantine, man, and it's so humbling. And it's, like a 50-year-old guy just taking diggers out in public. It's very humbling, but it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, I can imagine. I tried to get into skateboarding when I was younger. I got like a skateboard from my grandma, of all people. She bought me a skateboard for Christmas, and it was like, probably the deck was like this thick. It was so thick. And so it was so heavy to even try to like do any tricks on. I never really got good at all.
Oh, I'm like, I told all my buddies and stuff, I'm like, I'm not learning to do any tricks. I don't need to be falling like that. I just want to cruise and have a good time.
That's the only thing. Yeah. I don't want to do that. I want to break my arm. I want to talk about like the development of your style too, because you kind of alluded to that. So starting from when you were just like finger drawing on an iPad, what inspired you to like keep creating, and what sort of influenced your style and your sensibility in like your art?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was just like a way to express myself. I didn't really have an outlet at that point, and like I was always just kind of naturally drawn to like that minimal style. And I think, my favorite thing about my style is like there's just enough detail. It gives the viewer like the idea of what the design is, but the viewer actually has to fill in a lot of the design, like if you look at my single line drawings or like my just black and white, simple line stuff, the viewer is actually filling in a lot of the image, and that kind of makes it a one-of-one piece for the viewer. What you see could be way different than what someone else sees. I do like that in my style a lot, but at the same time, I'm like always trying to evolve and I'm always trying to do new stuff. Growing up, I was always someone that would like do something for 2 weeks, and like if it didn't fit me, I'd move on. Like I remember in high school, I thought I was going to be a break dancer, and I went out and I like got this cardboard and I brought it in my house. I practiced for 2 weeks, and my parents were so pissed because like I'd shake the whole house up, because I'd like fall over.
Yeah.
But just like little instances of that is like, I don't know. I always felt like, I always just felt like I didn't have, I don't know. It's hard to explain. Like I always felt like I was giving up on stuff, but I was really just like searching for the right thing, And until I just, kind of just told myself, just like do you and do what you have fun with. And like, you don't need expectations for everything, you can just have fun. You can do stuff for 2 weeks, realize it's not for you. And that's kind of like with this art is it's like, I can do whatever I want with it, and that's like the best thing about it.
No, yeah, it's funny. We have a lot of similarities because I used to break dance in high school. I took a dance class for like a year, and then I stopped too.
So you got way more into it than I did. Yeah, I this is also my thing is like I'm someone who like when I start doing something, it's like I have to be able to spin on my head like tomorrow. It's
yeah.
I'm not learning like the little steps and stuff. I'm going to like spin on my head right now.
Otherwise, it's not worth it.
Right. Yeah. Like I'm all or nothing. And then when I get that all, then I'll move on.
Yeah, for sure. No, we're probably at the same level, though, because I was not very good. But that's a really interesting point, though, is like the expectations of others on like what we're doing. And I think I read some stuff about you talking about that and how maybe other people in your life had expectations for what you should be doing or where you should be going, or maybe even you did. How did you sort of get out of that mindset and get into the mindset of sort of, because it's a tough place for a lot of people. I feel like a lot of people have those expectations of like, if I start this, like, for example, I am like looking into getting into cider making. And it's like, if I start this has to be a business and this has to be like,
right.
Instead of just having fun with it. So how did you evolve your mind into that sort of place you're in now?
Yeah. I mean, I think it was just like myself putting those expectations and maybe just like stereotypes or societal expectations, I was fortunate, like my family and stuff always supported me no matter what I did. And I think it was, it was just like myself that put on me, or I put on myself and started I don't know if I just started questioning stuff or like, why am I doing this? Or like, I just try to be more aware of like the actions I'm doing and what I'm doing and why I'm doing stuff, Probably when I started this art stuff, the first thing I probably thought is like, all right, I'm going to start this business, this is going to make this, whatever, it's going to go here, here, here. And I'm just doing a better job at like, just going with like my in the moment decisions of what I want to do. That's just what seems for me to make me happiest. And like, at the end of the day, when I'm doing stuff that I want to do that day, I feel a lot more productive at the end of the day, or like I'm bettering myself that day.
No, for sure. I'm trying to get better about that as well, as just like being present more often. It's so easy to slip into, worrying about the future or the past, or it's amazing when you really try to like be present in the moment, like you realize how often you're not, Right. I think that's the biggest sort of epiphany that I've had is that, growing up, I was so not in the moments ever. And now I look back on that and I was like, oh man, I really regret that, because I wish I could have just enjoyed it instead of worrying so much about
things. Right. And, you can want to do stuff in the future, and you can bring that attention into the present moment. That's how you're going to, if I want to be the best version of myself, I got to be the best version of myself right now, and that's going to compound over time, and that'll get me to where I want to be.
So where did the idea then come from? Like when you were doing your artwork and sort of developing yourself as an artist, where did the idea come for like the BU, like in the shop and designing and printing on clothes and stuff like that? Was that just to sort of get your art out in a different way, or what was that sort of thought process?
It's like a mantra for myself, like a simple mantra, just like, hey, do you, like it's so easy, but for some people it's so hard, and it really started out as just like a mantra for me, and like people kind of liked it and it kind of took off. And And then, I was just like, well, I want to build this community or something that people can be wearing this or like reflecting this community and be proud of it. And I just thought like clothing is a good avenue for that. Like you walk down the street and you see so many different advertisements or you so many different things, right? Subliminally just going into your head. Like this is a good opportunity for me and like all the people that buy my clothing to walk by and like people just see that on the street. You know what I'm saying? It's like a positive message and it's different for every person. Like I'm not trying to claim BU as my own or like, I'm just trying to build this community where everyone can feel like they're a part of it and we can all inspire ourselves and we can all take that BU and make it like our own meaning,
When you look at those advertisements too, and you see it, they're always trying to get you to change something or they're trying to get you to do something. And it's nice to have a message where it's like, you don't have to do that. You can just be yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
My goal or like part of what I'm trying to do as an artist is like show people something and then they have to reflect on it and it shows them themselves more than it shows kind of what I'm trying to say, if that makes sense. Just like a simple idea, I want it to reflect the viewer so that they can reflect on themselves or they can inspire themselves more so than what I'm trying to say with it, I guess. And that's kind of where the BU comes from. And
yeah, looking at like your pieces and your artwork, we talked about it a little bit, but the sort of how they're sort of, I guess, as you said, it allows the viewer and stuff to sort of look at it and draw their own interpretations. Has that happened? Have you had any people that reach out to you about like different pieces that you've done and about what those pieces have meant to them or how they spoke to them?
Yeah, definitely. Like, and that's one thing I love about it is like people have different meanings of what it means to them. And that's the whole point of it,
Mm-hmm.
Like I can't just put something out there that's only my opinion on it. I'm not trying to push anything on anyone. I just want people to have an opinion on it or make them feel something, right?
Sure.
Like my dad always taught me, like people are always going to remember how you made them feel, not necessarily things you said or did or whatever. It's how you make them feel. And I'm just trying to make people feel something that inspires them to be a better version of themselves or whatever that they're dealing with or whatever they want to do in their life. That just inspires that, and when it comes to like the kind of like the white space and just the minimal canvas and stuff, I think there's just so much like, I look around my studio right now, like there's, brick and, color stuff all around. Like, I think that the simple minimal stuff kind of just like sticks out in spaces, it just like works well with life, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, no, and because I was reading about that stuff too, and in sort of your explanation for BU and stuff on your website, and you said that people are weighed down by expectations given to us, and it's a space for all. Is that where this is my own interpretation, I guess? Is that where all the space people and things like that come from? The sort of weightlessness of like not having to be weighed down by those expectations? Yeah,
and we all have this like unique perspective, right? Like I'm the closest thing to being an expert on Jordan Guth's life, right? And you're the closest thing to being an expert on your life, right? Mm-hmm. The expectation parts is just like no one's really going to know other than yourself, And I think the astronaut is venturing into like this dark unknown, right? And that's kind of what we're all doing. We're kind of venturing into this like dark unknown. It's scary, but there's also so much opportunity and like stuff that we haven't discovered yet, And I just like that. I just kind of like that floating into the unknown, It's just like taking this like leap of faith or whatever you want to call it, knowing that like you're going to put your best effort into it or whatever you want to call it and just make the best of it, I guess.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's true. When you look at your life, like I look where I was 10 years ago, I never would have expected I am where I am now. But we have this idea of like right now, I can predict 5 years into the future of where I'm going to be. It's like you can't. You just don't know. You just got to live your life and figure it out along the way.
Take last January 2020
yeah, right.
Thanksgiving 2019. I was going into 2020. I had a couple art shows lined up, and look what I'm sure people had so many different ideas of what 2020 was going to be.
No, for sure. And so I wanted to talk specifically a little bit more. There's the piece you have called Dark Thoughts. And that one really spoke to me, especially, as I said, with like the OCD, obsessive thoughts, and like anxiety disorder. How is your mental health, and I believe you said anxiety, right, is what you deal with a lot. How did that inspire that piece? And yeah, I felt really connected to that one. So I just wanted to ask you about it.
Yeah, no, like a lot of people felt that. And I know there's like the daily anxieties too, right? And then there's like, anxiety runs in my family. So I kind of knew it was going to catch up with me. And it's different for everyone, but I think we've all kind of felt like we're just like being attacked by our own thoughts or like by our own negative, opinions of ourselves or whatever, right? Yeah, it's just like a piece of expression. Like that's how I was feeling at the time. Like you can understand, like there's just those times where like you just attack yourself, I'm sure it's probably natural for a lot of people, but the thing for me is just like to figure out how I can deal with myself in that situation and like move forward and understand it's just a momentary thing and I'll get through it. And it's not who I am, and it's, but yeah, that piece just came from like a moment in time that I was feeling that. And I like that. That's the point of it. Like I want my art to just be how I'm feeling and like be like, hey, this is who I am. This is how I'm feeling right now. Like there's a lot of people who probably feel like this too, and they don't have like an outlook like I do, like art to express this. So, hey, this is for you, this is just as much for everyone who deals with stuff like that as it is for me.
No, I mean, I spent so much of my life fighting with myself, basically in my own mind and making everything so much worse by doing that instead of just like not judging my own thoughts and accepting things. So no, yeah, I really love that piece. I thought it was great. And we talked about like you go down multiple avenues with art, and behind you there's like a mural as well, because you've done murals and you've also collaborated with people to do murals. And so I was interested to know, what is the process for like a mural like? Is it different for you, like being outdoors and in the elements and even working with someone on a larger scale piece than it is for like, let's say you're drawing a piece on like a canvas or something like that alone? Like, what is the difference in your mindset when you're in those two places?
Yeah, like logistically, it's like really hard to figure out how to do a piece that big, It's just different. You're using different paint. You're using like different ways to see the image on the space and like execute the image on the space. It's a challenge. Like I have a lot of respect for the muralists, and I'm definitely still learning. Like I'm definitely, just still a beginner with it. The piece behind me, I'm actually proud of. Like this is like one of the first ones I was like, okay, that's like a cool mural that we did. I did it with my buddy Jason. I do a lot with my buddy Jason. We collab well together. He's the other artist in this space. We have very different styles. So I feel like we have our ideas come together in a way that they wouldn't have if we, we're thinking of it by ourselves. Mm-hmm. So, I think that's like this year, 2021, I'm definitely going to try and do more collabs for that reason, because it's, you get a different, unique perspective. It kind of opens your mind a little bit more, and it helps my art, it helps my talent and like what I'm doing, because you think of things differently. You think of ideas, like I said, that you probably wouldn't have before. It's just like a right direction for me and for my art and stuff. And I think that collabing is just awesome. But yeah, I mean, like the hard part about it is just like logistically figuring out. Me and Jason are actually going this afternoon. We're going to look at like this 70-foot wall. Wow. So it's intimidating, but 70 feet, like everyone's going to see it, that's the thing too.
There's no hiding that. Yeah.
Yeah. Like there's no like erasing a 70-foot wall if you mess up. It's like, it's going to be there. People are going to see it. So no, but I like it that they're in public and like it's free art for people to see. And it's just a whole other animal, I guess, is the best way to say it.
Yeah, I can imagine. Because I talked to David Zimmerman, Big Shot Robot. I did a massive Bucks mural, and I'm just like, how long does this even take? Like, this just is so big that you must be out here for weeks just painting, Yeah. So, yeah, it seems like a huge undertaking.
So you can't really tell behind me. I mean, you just see like the face, but those are actually like all individual dots. It's like a half tone.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah,
how long did that take?
I don't know how many hours. Definitely over like 40 hours,
Wow.
And it's just like, yeah, tiny little dots, all different shapes to like get that face, from the distance you see it as more like a face, but if you zoom in, it's like little dots, And that's the thing, like with murals, that is really good for me, because I definitely haven't been like the most patient person. As I said, like when I try breakdancing, I want to spin on my head right away rather than taking the steps. So like doing murals is good for me, because I got to be patient. Like I know that I'm not going to get a piece done in 1 day or 2 day or 3 day. It's going to be a week-long, 2-week-long thing. Yeah, it's just like, it's good discipline for me.
Yeah, I saw on your Instagram that you're starting to do like custom pieces, right?
Yeah.
For your clothing. How has that gone?
I mean, the The sewing process, I've sewn like a little bit, I did like a release where I did like BU patches and stuff. And like I sewed those, but that's just like 4 straight lines. I'm in like the pattern making process now. So like you're actually cutting and doing the measurements and stuff. And I got that done. And now I'm going to get into the sewing. It's kind of like, I don't know, it's intimidating, I guess you could say, like just about, like, I just got to dive in, I think it'll definitely take like my clothing to like a different, more capabilities rather than just, getting shirts and sweatshirts and printing on them, I definitely have always been drawn to like design with fashion and stuff like that. And I think this is just an opportunity to like have more influence in the garments and like how they fit people. And you can't tell, but I'm 6'5". So growing up, getting clothes and stuff was always a problem for me, or shrinking clothes. And like, this is just a way that like I can fit clothes that custom to me. And like, I understand people who are in different situations where normal clothes don't fit them. It's just an opportunity for me to like, I don't know, just have them more tailored to myself and then go from there.
Yeah, no, I mean, I saw like the pattern cut out and stuff, and it almost feels like once you're done with that part, it should be good to go. You know what I mean? Because it looks like you could wear it if it wasn't sewn together. Like,
Right. I have all the pieces set out, the pockets and stuff, but now I just got to sew it together. And, I think the jacket won't be terribly difficult, but if I wanted to add a lining, that's like a whole other like thing I got to learn. And, I've watched like leading up this, like so many YouTube videos and like people who've done it before, just trying to learn. That's like the beauty of the internet now, is you can learn so much.
I read about you that you got into drawing more when you were trying to, you were drawing stuff for your now wife. Like obviously it worked because you guys are married now, but what were you drawing for her back then? And how did that like fuel the fire for you to want to keep creating art?
Yeah, it's like such a weird thing. It's not like something I would really ever do for anyone, but for like obviously my soulmate now, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it was just so, I don't know. Like in the moment I was like, oh, let me show her this. I can do this for her, like she liked moth. So I drew like a colorful moth. I did this like cool, realistic pencil sketch of like her face, and then like another half of her face was like a skull. When we met in Florida when I was living down there playing ball, and then I moved back to go to school in Milwaukee. There's like 6-7 months where we kind of lived apart, and I guess it was just like a way for me to kind of show her a side of myself while not being with her, I guess. Mm-hmm. I guess I haven't really like totally reflected on why I did it. It was just like, I guess it was just like a good sign that I felt comfortable. It wasn't like I'd ever really drawn and showed a whole lot of people, like I would show my family and friends, and it was just always something that was just like, whatever, I can draw. I'm not going to draw and like showing people think I'm Picasso or whatever, but sure. I don't know. I don't know if it was just like I wanted to like give her some of my time, or like show her I had this talent that I could somehow like show her I was thinking of her or something. I don't know.
I mean, I feel like when I've been in similar situations like that, you get into a point where it's not even about your ability. It's more about like you're nervous because of this weird, I'm speaking for you, but this is from my experience. You're nervous because like you're giving this person another side of you that they don't know.
Right.
But it's your expectation of like how they're going to react, even though they're going to be nice about it. Yep. You're like worried that like they're going to think I'm an idiot for drawing these things. But in reality, they're not. It's just like your own, their own expectations. Yeah.
And that kind of ties into my art too. Like I'm not sitting here saying I'm the most talented artist or anything. I'm just trying to do art, be brave about putting it out into the world, and show people that they could be confident about stuff that they love to do or they like to do, and that to me is almost what art is to me. If I can just show people that like, hey, I can do this, you can do it too. Like I'm not any braver than anyone else. I'm not any more talented than anyone else or confident than anyone else, but I can do it. So you can do it too.
Yeah. Yeah, I know for sure. I feel the same way about stuff. Cause it's like I'm sure you felt like this in sports too. Like when you do something for so long, if you even deviate from that for a little bit, you have this idea that everyone's going to be like, well, you're not doing what you were doing before. So how can you do two things? That's crazy. Like you have to only do one thing. So
I saw this video the other day, and it was like, today's day and age, people are always trying to go viral or whatever. And I think it must've been from someone who went viral. They're like, your page, what you do viral for, what you go viral for, that is now what you do. And you have to do that like 10 different ways. And that's how you're going to stay viral, right? Like I'm not trying to conform to anything other than something that I want to do, you know?
Yeah. No, because it's like, what a waste of time. Like it's so, you end up doing so many things that you just don't like because you're just so worried about fitting in or conforming or being in this specific box, or you do something for too long that you just hated. And, yeah, because it's like under the expectation that like nobody ever grows or develops. Like everyone finds new things and changes. And so, yeah, it's just, I'm glad you're an advocate for that too. But yeah, before we wrap up here, where can people find all your stuff, like your website and your social media channels, so they can follow you and stuff like that?
Yeah, my website is bu1991.com. My Instagram is b.u.1991. Facebook is Jordan Guth Art. It's Guth. And I think that's all. I started a TikTok, so I'm trying to venture into.
Oh, nice.
How
is that? How is TikTok? I haven't gone on TikTok.
No, I was resistant to TikTok. I just felt like I was too old for like where they're directing it at, you know, like the target.
Yeah, sure.
But what I love about TikTok is like the algorithm works well. Like I go on there to view people art and doing art stuff, and it shows me people doing art. Sometimes I feel like I go on Instagram and it's showing me stuff that I don't care about or like has nothing to do with my life, you know?
Sure.
So I don't know. It's just like just another thing, I guess, to waste time with, which is something I try and stay away from. At the same time, it is a place where I could go for some inspiration and stuff like that. So I don't know. Check it out. I guess it's not for everyone, but I think it's different. It's different than what I thought it was. So it might be different for you too.
Yeah, I think I have built a similar amount of expectations of like what it's supposed to be like based on what I've seen on the internet and things like that.
There's definitely a side of it, like somehow you get in a side where it's just like, yeah, you know, the side you don't want to be on, but
yeah, sure.
It's a pretty good job of like keeping you in the lane that you're looking for, you know?
Yeah, no, for sure. Well, thank you so much for coming on. It was so nice talking to you. I really love your art, and you're just a really awesome person to chat with. So I appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, I appreciate it too. And I'll keep doing what you're doing. I think what you're doing is really cool. And I'm very appreciative for you having me on.
Well, thanks, man. Have a great day.
Yeah, have a good weekend.